Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Danny Hernandez, Chad Big Bad Johnson, and James Sasanti. We are back off of our hiatus. I'm back. I know I've been gone for a while, and we are once again reviewing AEW Dynamite. Decent show. This was the go-home show for Final Battle for Ring of Honor, so there was a lot to do with that. We got a little more about the BCC and their situation. So a lot of good stuff. We will start though with the main event, which saw the Acclaimed face off against FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships. This is a match that I think we've all wanted to see for a while and had very, very little build. So I'm pretty sure the challenge was it made last week or on Rampage? I don't even remember, but either way, we got this match, and I do think it delivered. We started off with Bowens and Cash going with some great chain wrestling. I very much enjoyed the beginning, and then some great back and forth between Bowens and Dax before things ended up breaking down. Caster sent Cash out of the ring, and then Dax got what apparently we're calling a Scissor Me Timbers. I like that a lot.
I love it.
And it's just a hilarious name for the move. Shortly after, Dax tries to get a sharpshooter in on Caster, but Caster ends up reversing it and locking in one of his own, followed shortly by Cash coming into the ring and getting put in the sharpshooter himself by Bowens. They both eventually escape to the outside, where Bowens gets sent into the ring post and Caster gets slingshotted into the underside of the ring apron. Eventually, after the commercial, Bowens took a hot tag and he took out FTR for a while. Eventually, he loses to the numbers game and takes a spike pile driver, which he is able to kick out of. Max comes back in, and then after trading big rig attempts, who ended up taking that big rig?
Caster,
thank you,
Caster.
Lost my spot there. Caster. Thank you. He got sent into the ring post and then gets hit with a big rig himself, like you said, and the pin gets broken up by Bowens. FTR then sets up Caster for a powerplex, but Bowens shoves Dax off of the top rope, and then Cash is caught when he jumps trying to hit the pretty much a flying nothing. He gets hit with the arrival, and when Caster takes too long to go for a mic drop, Dax shows him off the top rope. Then we get a bunch of back and forth, a bunch of pinfall attempts, and Cash eventually goes for a power bomb, but Caster counters it into a pin and is able to pick up the win. After the match, Daddy Ass helps both members of FTR up, and he and the Acclaimed offer a scissor to FTR, which they accept. And then the Ass Boys, unfortunately, appear on the screen and that they have gifts from the Briscoe brothers, who have challenged FTR for the Ring of Honor tag titles at Final Battle in a double dog collar match. So, Danny, I will start with you first. What did you think of Max's rap?
Okay, so I was gonna say initially that this was one of his weaker raps because I'll be honest, the middle was just kind of filler. But even though he stumbled across it and basically laughed it instead of rapping it, he had a Herschel Walker reference, so that saves it. That brings it back up to like a 87 as to what would have been probably just like a C minus, But so
yeah, I felt that way too.
Yeah, but to me, the Herschel Walker reference, even though it was he stumbled his way through it, was phenomenal. But oh man, what a great match! The ending was such a weird bummer on this. What I loved of this match, like it. The Ass Boys and FTR story and the Acclaimed FTR story, like, I don't want to compare them, but since they're both, right here tonight, compare them real quick. Although this match happening is a little rushed, and there wasn't really much build for it. There has been build for it. It just hasn't been direct build. There was no direct build to this match, but they have been slowly building towards each other this whole time. We've talked about it multiple weeks on this podcast, how their paths keep almost crossing, but not crossing. They're interacting without interacting. They're the two most over teams in the company. No offense to any trios teams or anything, but they've been kept apart by design, and they have just subtly hinted at coming to blows with each other at some point, and it happened here. And that part, it happened maybe a little out of nowhere. but the two of them purposely crossing or paths nearing each other without ever actually crossing to now has been such a good story, as opposed to the Ass Boys FTR, which has been going on for what feels like 8 months, even though it's probably only been like 2, but nothing happens. It's literally every 3 weeks or so, the Ass Boys show up at an FTR segment like, they don't like you, we're feuding with you. And for some reason, this feud hasn't resolved after 1 week in a squash match, but whatever. The beauty of this match was the wrestling and the fact that both teams are over. The crowd took turns cheering for people. And the fact that just like this match might have happened already 2 years ago on Dynamite, or it might not have. But let's say it hasn't. If it did happen 2 years ago, it would have been like 6 minutes long and FTR would have won handedly. And there would have been no doubt about it, as opposed to now where they felt like they were on an even playing field. And the way it ended with a roll-up, saving some for the future because this was a TV match, and hey, maybe they have a pay-per-view match at Revolution, or maybe they have another big TV match at Bash at the Beach because, when winter, so that's, that's coming up. There's so much with this. I would not mind seeing this match again whenever they do it. I was a big fan of this. This put the Acclaimed on another level, and I don't think it hurt FTR at all, especially although the Ass Boys being out there was silly. At least we know they're about to have a violent, brutal match at the pay-per-view that I'm sure they'll probably win. Or actually, I don't know, because I don't know anything about ROH, even though it's on the show I watch every week.
Every week.
But there's so much good from this. I'm gonna let the Ass Boys thing slide. This was awesome. I don't know why it was happening so soon, but you know what? I enjoyed it. And the team I love won. So, what can I really complain about?
It almost feels like it happened just because they had been dancing around it for so long. They just kind of had to do it at some point just to get it done with, which is a little unfortunate because I feel like we wanted this in more of a situation where we weren't sure who was going to win. Whereas I'm pretty sure we were all fairly confident that the Acclaimed were going to win tonight. The other thing I liked, Chad, was that at the end of the match, Excalibur exclaimed that the Acclaimed had to be perfect to win this match, and that they were, which I thought was a great way to just kind of define the entire match itself.
Absolutely. I mean, you hate to say it, but the Acclaim needed the rub. I mean, they didn't really, because of course they're over as fuck, but I mean, what a way to make them look even better by fighting the best tag team in professional wrestling at the moment. I'm with Danny. FTR didn't need to win this. It didn't make them look bad at all. The match for me was dope. I can't wait to see the second one because of course it's coming now. We all did dispute and argue over how much build it had, but after the initial, it had no build, it kind of was just a great match, so it didn't matter as much. And I'm with Danny. They've been running around each other for months now in circles, so we knew it was destined to happen. The Acclaim, man, fuck, they're looking better and better every week. They look important. They make the tag team titles look more important than they've looked in quite a while. I'll just say that, like maybe before the Jurassic Express reign. But the rap was a little mediocre until the Herschel Walker line as well. But does it matter? It's fucking Max Caster. He's over. Yeah, they're great. I love them. And I love FTR. So this, for me, was a win-win situation regardless.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, too, though, is I feel like, and I think we've mentioned this on the show before, ever since they've won the titles, that it's Bowens, I feel like, who's getting more over. And
I agree.
He was getting a lot of the pops tonight during the match.
He was phenomenal tonight, James, especially in the beginning there when he was facing off against Cash.
Yeah.
It's always great when you see the guy who you think is less flashy still get some love and still get some attention. And it's very easy to assume that someone like Max Caster is just going to be the star. He's going to be the Shawn Michaels of the team. And Bowens has been putting in the work. He's been putting the work in on the mic. He's been putting in the work in the ring. And I'm really glad that these are two very likable stars, both showing how good they are. And I'm glad that the crowd is recognizing that. I enjoyed the match immensely. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was two powerhouse teams. Absolutely, the Acclaimed needed to win, because the truth is, we all agree they're super over. They are probably the most over team in the company, but it's easy to be over and then to have that fade. I didn't hear Danny, but it was sassy. I still don't know. I'm just going to gloss over it for my own safety. But it's easy for that popularity to fade. We've seen that with people like Darby Allin. We've seen that with a lot of guys who, it doesn't matter how over they are, their stock starts to drop if they don't win enough.
Okay.
And the Acclaimed, I don't want them to just be champs in name. I want them to be champs in presentation too. And a win over FTR. Granted, FTR isn't the PWI top tag team, but they're still pretty high.
I think they're number 3, if I remember off the top of my head.
If only they were allowed to wrestle. But it was great.
No, number 1 team barely ever wrestles, so that doesn't matter.
Apparently. But fantastic match. I loved Cash's stuff tonight. Usually Dax is the one who, from an in-ring standpoint, I'm always more impressed by. But Cash is very underappreciated in my opinion. And tonight he showed an intensity that I loved. Those triple clotheslines were brutal. That spinning lariat was just, oh man, somewhere up there Brody Lee was just smiling and yeah his way towards the big TV in the sky. And great match, great team.
Yeah, this almost felt like it legitimized the Acclaim's title reign, because I know they beat Swerve in Our Glory a couple of times, and I know they beat some other people, but like Swerve in Our Glory, as you guys have repeatedly said on this show, was a Franken team that was, as far as we could tell, built to create a Keith Lee and Swerve feud, which I guess we'll find out what happens with that. We haven't really heard from them recently. So they beat them. They beat like Tony Nese and some other schmuck. So they haven't really beaten anybody truly great yet. And them beating FTR is doing that. You know, it's beating not only an established tag team and a great tag team, but I think, as one of you said, one of, if not the best tag team in the world. So it's truly established them as the champs right now. And I think they can only go up from here.
I agree. And I would just like to end by saying, it's so weird to me that we will now be getting a third match between FTR and the Briscoes. And not once were the Briscoes a part of the build in any of the scenarios. It was always FTR on Dynamite or Rampage selling this. Let's be honest, it was Dynamite. And we just had to accept that this match was going to be awesome every time. And they were. But man, it's weird that they're just not there.
Yeah, at this point, I guess, you know, for somebody who likes Ring of Honor, the selling point of this match is the last 2 matches. You don't really need to be sold on it anymore. But at the same time, it is odd that you don't have any physical on-screen build by the Briscoes. It's all taking place, I assume, online.
Not at all.
Really? They just kept their mouth shut?
It comes down to they are not welcome on Dynamite.
Yeah, I know.
Tony Khan has tried, but they have been rejected several times, and they will not be allowed, most likely, which will be interesting if Ring of Honor does get a TV show eventually.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rumors surrounding that too, and I'm sure we'll talk about that on the pod itself, because I don't want to completely have Ring of Honor take over this Dynamite show the way Ring of Honor has taken over actual Dynamite. I will just say that allegedly they are going to start dialing Ring of Honor back on AEW, presumably because Ring of Honor has gotten a show in some way, shape, or form. So hooray.
Yeah.
We have been done nothing but bitch and complain that Ring of Honor has completely just enveloped AEW. So I'm glad that Tony Khan is starting to see that, and he's probably going to start to dial it back a bit. All right,
Small
let's
victories.
there you go, small victories. Let's move on to the top of the card where we had the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. So the winner of this actually ends up facing MJF whenever they choose, as opposed to MJF being in the Battle Royal the way he had been the first 3 times. This was cool. We got the continuation of a couple of feuds here. Kip Sabian and Orange Cassidy, which set something up for later in the show. And we also still have Matt Hardy working for the firm, and All Ego Ethan Page just being an absolute dick to him. So towards the end of the match, we had Jungle Boy eliminate Lee Moriarty, and then he got eliminated by W. Morrissey, who wasn't actually in the match. He was on the outside with the rest of the firm. And then Morrissey, who they're calling Big Bill for some reason. It sounds awful. But
that sounds like something JR would come up with.
Yeah, right. It doesn't sound very good. But Morrissey chokeslams Jungle Boy into the apron, which looks like it fucking hurt. Which left us with the final 4 of Ricky Starks, Captain Sean Dean. Good for the captain, man. I love him. I'm glad.
It was the win of the night for me.
Him
being
too.
in the final 4 was the win of the night.
I love him. He's great. He's so good on Sammy Vlog when he was berating the extras and stuff. Like he's amazing. And then we also had Ethan Page and Matt Hardy. The captain is about to actually eliminate Ethan Page when Matt Hardy saves Page with a side effect, but then he refuses to eliminate Dean, making Page do it. And then after arguing a bit, Hardy and Page go after Ricky Starks. But when Hardy goes for another side effect, Starks is able to reverse it and eliminate Matt Hardy.
Was it a side effect or was it a twist of fate?
Oh, it might have been a twist of fate. I was typing and doing it at the same time. Matt did so I just assumed it was one of them. Then Page goes after Starks, and after throwing him, I think, into the ring post, he goes to throw Ricky out, but Ricky is able to hang on, and Page tumbles to the floor, and Ricky is able to win. And the match is all well and good, but I have no desire to talk about that because the real thing that came out of this was Ricky's promo after. So before the Dapper Yapper could even finish saying Ricky Starks' name, MJF's music hit, and he comes out to talk shit. He first, excuse me, I'm still playing a little hurt. He first addresses Bryan Danielson because Bryan's not there. They said on commentary that he was still with Regal. MJF said that Bryan didn't show up tonight because he's afraid of MJF. Max then turns his attention to Ricky, calling Ricky Dollar Store Dwayne, saying he ripped off everything he does from The Rock, and that he's going to start calling Ricky the Pebble, and he's going to skip him back to Billy Corrigan's NWA so he can wrestle on YouTube where he belongs. Ricky then shoves Max out of the way and gets a mic. Starts by calling MJF Maxi Pad, which gets a chant, and then calls Max a 5th-rate Roddy Piper before just eviscerating MJF in his entirety. Like he just absolutely hooked Max. Said everything about him is cheap. He smells like paint thinner and ass because of all the spray tan he's got on. That he ran off the grease after he got out politicked by somebody else. And honestly, there were so many good insults in there. I didn't even have time to write them all down. Ricky, he cut like the promo of maybe his life. And then he says that he's going to do Max a favor and take the responsibility of the title off his plate because Max has never done well with responsibility, and he'd rather pay people off than actually hold any. And after all of that, MJF kicks Ricky in the dick. Doesn't even say anything, just straight up kicks him in the dick.
I was so worried.
But James's fears were quickly alleviated when MJF went to line up to hit Starks with the Dynamite Diamond ring, but Ricky is able to duck the blow and literally speared Max out of his shoes. It was amazing after insulting said shoes earlier. So James, I'm running out of steam here. So, like I said, this was the promo, I think, of Ricky's life. I loved every second of this. And this showed why Ricky Starks, or this showed that Ricky Starks is the superstar that we all thought he was.
I was so proud of Ricky tonight. First of all, God bless you, Nick. I know you're struggling. You're killing it. I was so proud of Ricky for the promo he delivered tonight. For a while now, fans have been comparing Ricky to MJF. You know, the idea, they're both great talkers, they're very charismatic. It just, Ricky's not on the same level as MJF. He hasn't reached that level that MJF has. And Ricky touched on that in his own way. It's like, this is the difference between us about what it meant to be liked. When they started liking me, I gave them a reason to keep liking me. And I love that. I love that because it perfectly captured where these two are right now. And MJF, I got to say, thank God the fans are booing him again. Not even just because he's from Long Island and it just makes sense, but because he's the heel. He's the bad guy. And yeah, sometimes it's fun to cheer the bad guy. Sometimes it's fun to cheer the heel. But the problem is it does throw off the dynamic for everybody else who goes against him. We saw that with Moxley. Moxley's one of the most beloved AEW guys there is. He was getting booed. He was getting told to fuck off at the pay-per-view.
I want it on record. I was cheering for Moxley the entire
As was I.
As was
I. But
and we were fucking right, people.
We absolutely were.
Fucking
And
Jersey.
Might as well be Long Island. But they
insult to Long Island.
Or is it an insult to Jersey?
It's an insult to Long Island. I hate Jersey far more than I hate Long Island.
But the point is, MJF is where he is right now because he embraced being the bad guy, while Ricky Starks embraced being the good guy. He embraced the fans. And I love that got touched on. My favorite bit was when he told Max that he was going to slap the mole off his neck. Just brilliant. Just brilliant. I gotta say, I am always amazed by Ricky's spear because someone his size should not have as devastating a looking spear as he does.
I fucking concur.
He sells it with like his arms, like he comes all the way back to do it, and it makes it look so much more devastating than it actually is. Well, you know what I mean. But it makes it look so much more devastating than it actually should.
No, absolutely. It's a great looking move that he makes. Just, So I know Ricky's going to lose. I'll be on a part of me. I want him to win the diamond ring at the very least.
Yeah, me too.
I think there would have been something really cool if they made the match a 2 out of 3 falls match. And somehow he won the first fall, which gave him the ring, and then he loses like the second fall for the title, and then or whatever. I don't even know how it works. For the title? Yeah. I would have really liked that, but either way. This felt like a night that we're going to remember for Ricky years down the road. This feels like one of those promos. And you know what? To be compared to The Rock, there are worse people to be compared to. You could be compared to Vin Diesel.
Also, am I mistaken? Didn't somebody use the Pebble once before?
As a John Cena fan, we are known as Fruity Pebbles. Like Cena is a Fruity Pebble. I don't know if anyone else has been the Pebble.
What's the one when Mick Foley is making fun of him in Avatar?
The boulder?
Oh, it's the boulder. Okay. Yeah. I was trying to remember. I feel like the Pebble's been used somewhere else. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But
that was a deep dive. That was a deep cut for everyone here.
The boulder is one of my favorite characters from that show, just because it's Mick riffing on The Rock.
Absolutely.
But Chad, I imagine you're right here with us because I think you're as big of a Ricky fan as we are. This was, like James said, a star-making performance.
I am absolutely with you guys. I've always been. Number one, justice for Dalton Castle.
Yes.
I know he couldn't win, but I just wish he had anyway.
He had a really good spot though. I think in the
awesome spot, the boys,
and it was very older. It was very over as well. So
there was a point where I was just hoping the boys would drop him because he just kept getting beat up. And it's like let the man die.
But either way, we love Dalton Castle here. I think I've said this before on a previous pod that I think Ricky Starks and MJF are like the new age Rock and Stone Cold. I don't know who's who, and I can't really pinpoint it.
You don't know who's who, really?
We compare Ricky Starks to The Rock, but MJF has always had Rock-like promos. He's always been a great mouthpiece. I mean, Stone Cold does have great promos as well.
What?
But I don't know. I mean, who's The Rock? Who really is The Rock here?
I will say, Chad, to kind of bounce off of you a little bit, I feel this is way more of a Rock Triple H feud.
Okay, I'll take that.
The dynamics there are a little closer.
I will take that.
But
also because I like
see how
that
you feel
feud
about
more
it.
than Rock and Stone Cold.
I mean, Max is literally calling it his reign of terror. Like he's cribbing off of Triple H. You know?
We'll do that. That makes more sense, actually.
But being compared to Triple H is a lot more lame than being compared to Stone Cold.
True.
Not to mention, Rock and Stone Cold's feud was much bigger, even though his and Triple H's was better. But
that's a bold statement. I don't know. I don't have time for that, but that's a bold freaking statement.
We might have to cover that on the pod.
Oh my God! From like the Intercontinental to we'll table this.
I think we just found out what we're doing for the pod tonight, boys.
We'll table this for now. But another hot take. I think Ricky Starks has the best spear in the game. Period. I'm sorry. I don't care about your Goldbergs, your Romans, your Edges, anybody. I think he has the actual best spear.
I was gonna say, I don't think anyone thinks Edges is good.
But it's Edge.
But, fair.
Bobby Lashley, whoever the fuck else, Rhino,
Christian.
No,
whoa, that's the Gore.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Apologies, ROH man, but yeah, it's Ricky Starks. He has the best spear in the game. The promo is amazing. He's over as fuck. We know he's gonna lose, but it doesn't matter. He's gonna just shine and keep shining. This was great, epic.
This is one of those feuds, and I feel like there's so many of them in AEW that pop up where these two guys are going to do this for 20 years. I feel like.
Absolutely.
I agree.
The two of them, Jungle Boy, Darby, if he manages to not kill himself, and there's probably a couple of more people who are on their way up that they're going to do this for 20 years, and it's going to be amazing. Like I have no problem watching MJF and Ricky talk and wrestle for 20 years. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I'm actually looking forward to it. So I'm so excited for. Also, I did like the fact that Ricky called MJF out on just hitting, the low hanging fruit.
Thank you.
And he's just hitting all of his catchphrases. He's like, I'm cribbing off The Rock. All you do is come out, say your catchphrases, make fun of the town, and leave. No, Danny, what were your opinions on all of this?
Oh man, I put down my Switch and stopped playing Pokemon for this.
That's how you know it's serious, guys. This is a big deal.
This promo was so fucking good. Like MJF cut a really good promo before Ricky Starks' promo, but Ricky Starks' promo was so good, it makes me think MJF's promo was really bad. Like,
right?
It's true.
This was Ricky Starks living up to not only just everyone's expectations of him, but everyone's expectations of their interaction together.
Yes.
Because everyone's like, oh, this could be legendary. Everyone's like, I want that blow away Ricky Starks promo we've all been waiting for, that we all know he's got in him, and that's just going to come out when the opportunity is right. Like and he hit that and a little bit more. This was amazing. I really want him to win now so bad. This was so good. This was such a good promo. Let fucking MJF go to WWE, put the title on Ricky Starks. He's actually okay. The fuck? Oh my God, MJF was never a pillar. Jungle Boy was never a pillar. It's Darby, Orange Cassidy, and Ricky Starks, and the Acclaimed. It is an unbelievable. I will definitely rewatch this promo before Dynamite next week, and I'll be hype all over again for that match. This made me want the match to be further away. This made me too soon. This is Punk and Kingston all over again, where it's like, oh my God, that was like the best promo segment I've seen all year. And now you're going to fight immediately and it's just going to be over. And I will look back at this as like one of the best feuds of the year, and it'll only be 2 weeks long. And it's
we want more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I'm excited. Actually, no, I'm not excited for MJF Danielson because that's just another loss for Danielson. But, you know, the idea of MJF Danielson is exciting, but I don't want that yet. You can push that off for as long as possible. Or, you know, I don't care. Fuck it. Have Starks be the one to take the title off MJF a year from now. Okay, like
I'm here
that's how
for it.
good this promo was. That I like. It's rewritten the future of the company. I know that future hasn't happened yet, so how could it be rewritten? But it is.
Well, it's predetermined, so you kind of can write it.
It is that good of a promo that whatever the plans are, whoever the next mapped out champion was, it needs to be reconsidered. And I'm not saying he should win right now, even though that'd be amazing. The promo was so good that I would pop so hard if he did. But I think this promo was so good that he just put himself in the front of the line for a person that can dethrone MJF
Absolutely.
right before the Bitten War of 2024. So I loved this promo. And this is recency bias, but I don't think I've seen or heard a better promo on AEW this year. The only one I can think of to compare is Punk's really fucking good promo against Moxley, where he said he's the third best guy in his group and the third best John or whatever. So I loved it. I loved it so much. The Battle Royal was fun. I like Ricky's motivation of wanting to take everything from MJF. Another reason this feud should be going on longer, because that's a really good story beat that I wish had more time. Kevin's like, I can't wait for Ricky Starks to turn heel because that Pebble chant is going to be over one day.
It really is.
Oh man, but yeah, oh my god, this really put Ricky into the stratosphere we all knew he could be in. But I want more of this. I didn't want the promo segment to end. I agree with Chad about the spear because I don't like the spear as a finisher, but goddamn, is that not like the best fucking spear I've seen since Prime Goldberg, or to compare it to a different move, it's the best spear I've seen since the Gore. But I love Ricky Starks so much more than I did before this, and I liked him a lot before this. I have nothing but positives. This may be promo of the year. We could talk about it next week on the pod or whenever we do a best of the year stuff, but this is up there. Like, I can't think of much this is better than MJF's fucking silly little pipe bomb. I don't even think about that shit anymore.
I agree.
I will think about this promo. This like, you know, maybe that's hyperbolic. We can rediscuss this when the recency bias is worn off, but I love this promo. Man, AEW is like so good right now. From like 3-4 weeks ago, like everything's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like Full Gear like provided that reset we were all talking about, and the last few weeks have been good. I know there's a little bit still too much Ring of Honor stuff, but like I said, I think this is going to be ending as we get in the final battle, and like we have our full, you know, no CM Punk and the Bucks are back reset. So, and Kenny too, not to disregard him. To go back what you said, sorry, to go back what you said at the beginning, Danny, I did like the fact that MJF did cut a really good promo, and then Starks just blew him out of the water so much that his only retort was to kick him in the dick. Yep. Like, it's all he had left. He was like, fuck, this guy just killed me, and I've got nothing else. So, Bob. James, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I think what really put this over for me, too, how often have we seen MJF come out on top during segments? You know, I can't remember the last segment where MJF didn't come out on top, whether it's a promo exchange or a brawl, or like he usually does get that cheap shot in. I can't remember the last time he didn't walk out the victor. Take away the firm stuff with Moxley. He almost always walks out of the ring as the winner. It happened with Yuta. It happened with Mox. It happens a lot. It really does. So to see him get downed by that sphere, it was satisfying. It was satisfying because I think we've been waiting for him to get like his like comeuppance a little bit, and this was just a taste of it, and that was great. And I love that Ricky started the promo very similarly to Punk. Do you remember when MJF first confronted Punk? Punk just walked away from him. He just walked past him, and it completely threw MJF off his game. And that's what happened here. We were waiting for him to react to MJF. We were waiting for him to get either physical or just to seem a little stunned. He just shoulder checks him, and it completely throws MJF off his game. I thought it was such a nice detail. It's something that's already been established as a way of getting into MJF's head. This was beautifully, beautifully done.
I also got to say, I don't think Ricky was expecting the crowd to chant Maxi Pad because he was trying to keep going and he was like, oh, fuck, I got to stop.
Yeah, gotta let it breathe.
He was like, that wasn't even my good line. Like, fifth rate Roddy Piper was my better line, but
you can't cheer that. You can't chant that.
It's true. So, yeah, no, this was perfect all around. I am now only more excited for the future of Ricky Starr. Like, I'm trying to figure out what title to put on him.
He's someone who I would legitimately like to see with the TNT title.
TNT.
Yeah.
Sure.
One, that's how he debuted. He debuted in Cody Rhodes' open challenge for the TNT title. So to see him finally win it would be a nice moment. And two, we need somebody who's actually going to do something with that belt.
Yeah. But I want it now. And Joe just won it.
True.
He's got another belt. Fuck it.
That's true. He's fighting Juice Robinson on Saturday for it, which is going to be an interesting match. Is Juice all elite now?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
But, he's all right. He's got a deal with AEW. I don't know if he's all elite.
Okay. Because I was trying to figure out if he was even still in Bullet Club.
By all accounts, he should be. He wasn't kicked out. He's just no longer with New Japan.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's move on then to the aforementioned Jon Moxley. He had a backstage promo, and he starts it by saying he's starting to like Hangman because Hangman got knocked off his horse and then got back on and did his talking with his fists, which is something nobody does in AEW. So he actually kind of likes that. Everyone talks too much. They never shut up. He then turns his attention.
Did he not convey this message in a talking segment backstage?
Touche. Mox then turns his attention to the JAS, saying that the BCC is going to take care of business against them tonight, and then on Rampage, and then a final battle, and then finally put them in the rear view, and then tells Hangman if he still wants a piece of them, Hangman knows where to find him. And then we move on to the aforementioned Samoa Joe and the TNT title. He put it up against Darby Allin. Darby started the match by taking the fight to Joe, but Joe quickly gained the upper hand when Darby went for a tope suicida and Joe went for his walk-away thing, which I always love. Joe then ripped up. The
camera fucked up, did not get a good view of it. Even on the replay, they didn't get a good angle of it, bro. This company sucks. Everything I said in the last segment, I take it back because they missed this fucking classic Joe move.
That actually reminded me in the Battle Royal, Ricky was this close to losing and they weren't looking at it. Like they were paying attention to Dustin Rhodes or something. Ricky was literally hanging off the bottom rope, and I don't know how he didn't hit.
That might have been intentional then. They probably didn't want the camera on it in case he did get eliminated.
It did almost look like a botch because he was flailing. I think he was like on one foot and then on the other trying to go back in. I was so glad he didn't fall. I was like, he's got to win this, right? And I'm watching in the back, but it was, you're probably right, James, but it was amazing to me that there was something so big going on, like no one paid attention to it. I digress. After the walkway spot, Joe ripped up the padding on the floor, and Joe tried to powerbomb Darby onto the exposed concrete. Darby got out of it, but then after that, he ran at Joe, and Joe just hit the power slam straight onto the concrete. And Joe, top 5 power slams ever. He's actually probably top 3 with Dustin Rhodes and Randy.
Absolutely.
Anyway, a little bit later, Darby hit a Stun Dog Millionaire and a Code Red, but Joe kicked out. Joe hit an STO to regain control, and he brought Darby up to the top for a Muscle Buster. Darby struggles. Joe comes up to the top rope for an avalanche muscle buster, but Darby knocked him off the top. Darby then goes for a coffin drop, and he gets caught by Joe. Joe locks in a coquina clutch and picks up the win. After the match, Darby shoved Joe for some reason. Was he trying to get him to shake his hand? Like, what was that?
Yeah.
He was? Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that for half a second. So Darby shoved Joe to try to get him to shake his hand, but Joe headbutt him and then hits a muscle buster onto the trucks of Darby's skateboard, which looks like it hurt like hell. Joe then locked in another coquina clutch to pass Darby out, but Wardlow came out and he chased Joe off. So Chad, pretty standard TNT title match, I thought. As we mentioned earlier, Darby is continuing to lose, which is unfortunate, but he's still pretty over. But I think a good match and a good win to help start Joe's title reign.
I actually love this match. I agree. Of course, we all want Darby to win, but we kind of knew he wasn't going to win in this situation. And at first, I picked up my phone. I said, yeah, Darby's going to lose. I don't want to watch it. And then something just clicked. I can't remember exactly what spot it was, but something clicked. And then for the rest of the match, I was just invested like fuck. Like it worked for me on all counts. The end was perfect, as I said in the group chat. I loved it. I mean, I like seeing Samoa Joe enough anyway. I'm ready for him to get rid of the ROH title or one or the other. But other than that, I like the match. I enjoyed it. I like seeing Darby. I want to see him win, but when the match was as good as this, can't really complain.
You don't like Joe being the king of television or whatever the fuck he's calling himself?
I mean, I think he can do so much more with the TNT title than the ROH, especially since, as we said, we're super weary of Ring of Honor at this moment. So I kind of just don't want to see anything that has to do with Ring of Honor on AEW just for a little while. Maybe just a month. Give me a little breather and then toss it back in, sprinkle it in here and there. That's fine.
I think that's fair. Danny, what were your opinions of this match?
I thought the finish was predictable from the announcement of the match. I thought that was the only reason they announced this match is because Joe was like, I really want to catch this guy from the coquina clutch. So like I watched the whole match knowing that would be the exact finish.
Yeah.
Despite that, the match was good. The stuff, I mean, again, if they fucking could get a good angle of Joe doing the thing he does every fucking match, I would have liked it more. Because that was a big part of the match because Darby fucking overshot the padding and that shit looked brutal. Like that was fucking insane. And they got a power slam on it later. Like it was good. It was a brutal match. And, as a former skater boy, I can say that falling on any part of your skateboard is gonna hurt, and the trucks are the absolute worst part to fall on. The only thing worse that can happen to you to skateboard is it's called a credit card, and it happens all the time to skaters, and it's not something you want to happen. You can Google it, James, if you need.
I'm so confused.
But James is fairly self-explanatory.
Is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was still good. I just didn't care about this as much as everything else on the show. This is the best way, but it's still good despite that.
Yeah, I actually think that's the perfect way to put it. It was solid. It was just, it was just kind of whatever as opposed to everything else that happened around it. And I feel kind of bad it got put right after that Ricky segment because I know they let it breathe a bit with the commercial and the Mox promo, but it is not easy to follow that. I don't care how deep down the card you are. James, your opinions, please. Because you're reeling from what a credit card is.
Like the visual is kind of messing with me, but good match. I'm with Danny. I knew exactly how this match was going to end. It felt like that was the point of the match. And they even teased it when Darby hit the coffin drop on the outside to Joe. It looked like that's what Joe should do, It looked like that's how Joe should counter it. And that's how he did counter it once they got in the ring. So it was a good match. Joe needed the win desperately. He has just been, he's been ROH TV champion for a long time, and he just won the TNT title. But I can't say he's done anything of note since he wrestled Suzuki to win the title.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. No, it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. But that was months ago. And he needed something, and this was it. I'm just sad that Darby has become that guy. And I know it's not going to be forever. I know it's just for now, but I don't want Darby's star to wane in the meantime. And more importantly, where the fuck was Sting?
Well, I think they're purposely trying to separate Darby from Sting a little bit. Just A, so that Sting doesn't always have to be there, and B, it kind of just lets Darby stand on his own a bit more.
I mean,
just being Sting's little buddy.
I never really viewed Darby as Sting's little buddy.
I haven't either, but I think like there are people who may have.
I view it as Sting, as a somewhat lame but heartfelt dad who just wants to bond more with his really cool son, and he just tries to be like him and do the things he likes to try to bond with them. He's like
jump off of shit.
I could jump off a high shit and hurt myself too, like I'm cool, Max, it's your dad, Goofy, we can be friends,
Beautiful movie.
Well, was not expecting a Goofy movie reference, but I will take it.
Why.
So
it deserves to happen. Fantastic film.
I'm not saying it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know where Sting is, but also this reminds me, in the main event, freaking Jeff Jarrett and the Slapnuts were all watching the show, like watching the match in the back for no reason. Like
they're feuding with the Acclaimed. So
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that.
Yeah, it's been on the back burner for whatever reason. It's still happening, whatever. But that's why.
Also, that's how I'm referring to them as now. They're Jeff Jarrett and the Slapnuts. Like, I'm sorry to reduce Jay Lethal to that, but
no, I like it.
That's
that's the only thing I've ever liked Jeff Jarrett doing is calling people slapnuts.
Lethal is acting like a slapnut, so
yeah, it works. And there's just too many of them. All right, let's move on. We had a backstage interview with Orange Cassidy. What? But then I gotta name 4 people, and it takes forever.
Oh god.
Anyway, backstage interview with Orange Cassidy and Kip Sabian. Fallout from earlier in the show with the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Orange says that if Kip wanted a shot at the All Atlantic title, all he had to do was ask instead of just trying to constantly attacking Orange. Kip says he's in no shape to fight after getting quote unquote attacked by Dustin Rhodes in the Battle Royal. So Orange tells him to find somebody for him to fight on Friday, and Kip kind of walks off, and Orange is like, wait, so is that a yes? And Tony Schiavone was like, yeah, looks like yes. Kip Sabian's gonna find somebody to fight. And Orange like,
it's
cool.
Gonna be Miro.
I want it to be Miro so badly, even though it makes no sense. But I want it to be so badly.
Be Miro.
I do miss Miro a lot.
We all do.
And I understand he's probably off acting somewhere, and
he's not doing shit.
Allegedly,
he wants to wrestle. Like a report came out today. He wants to work. They just haven't presented any creative for him. They don't have anything for him.
That really sucks. And I mean, look, there are worse things, for you to be than stuck at home with your flexible wife. But like, I do want to see this guy on television.
Eventually, he's gonna chafe. All right. He needs a break from the violence. He needs a break from the physical activity, and he needs to become a wrestler again. It's safer after a while. He's gonna dehydrate.
Gotta stay hydrated. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he shows. Because honestly, I feel like him getting the All Atlantic title would be a great spot for him. Obviously, it's just occupied right now by somebody who's incredibly over and doesn't need the title, but definitely deserves to have a lengthy reign with one.
He doesn't need the title. The title needed him. And
yes.
He has rescued the title. I would like him to have it for a lot longer. But if it's a return in Miro, if this was like 4 months ago, I'd be like, this is a lame return. This is the All Atlantic title. But now that, fucking Cassidy and the Acclaimed are doing the Lord's work and reviving titles, now other people can win them and it can mean something, and Ricky Starks is going to do that to the world title one day too. But,
I like you mentioned.
No one could save the TNT title. It's beyond saving at this point.
Not even Ricky.
He's above it. It would be a step down for him.
But he would elevate the belt in the process, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, I would weigh him down. It's just like it weighed Wardlow down.
No,
it is
Tony Khan weighed Wardlow down.
Well, I was gonna say it is so weird
MJF
that these
weighed him down.
these people who we all love, and then they win the TNT title, and we think it's this big step for them, and then they just end up lost in this like mid-card shuffle. And I understand it's a mid-card title, but it is allegedly the secondary men's title. Like you would think it would propel them further, and they just end up getting like stuck in the mud. It's so weird.
Tony has to overhaul that title.
Yeah,
he has to like really, I don't know.
And we keep thinking like, oh, it's going to be Wardlow to do it, and then like that doesn't happen. And it should. Ever since it got stuck in the Codyverse for 3 months, that title ain't been shit.
Right.
It's so fucking weird, and it's a shame because I think it could be a very useful tool to help elevate people, and they're just not using it properly.
But let's not put that in the atmosphere because they'll do another fucking tournament, and I'm sick of those for right now.
Yes.
So just let Samoa Joe hold it until whatever.
I'm trying to remember what tournament it was, and we were like, all right, I think it was when they had
It was the Owen Hart one, right?
Well, yeah, but no, I think it was when they were gonna pick the new AEW champion, and we were like, okay, this has to be the last tournament for a while. Like we can understand this one. We're good, and then they immediately had another tournament for the number one contendership.
Yep.
And I know Ricky won it, and I'm happy Ricky won it, but
it was still rough.
It was still another tournament,
Yeah.
and one of those matches was awful. Whatever Ethan Page one was in Bridgeport, the crowd was so dead for that. It was unbelievable.
Could have been any Ethan Page match then.
Low hanging fruit.
All right. After the backstage interview and a commercial, we got a promo package from Chris Jericho, who I guess decided to take the week off. He has his title match with Claudio Castagnoli at Final Battle for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And should Claudio lose, he has to join the JAS, which God forbid. Anyway, speaking of Claudio, he and Wheeler Yuta were taking on Daniel Garcia and Jake Hager. Mox came out with the BCC, and Sammy Guevara was out with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Hager started the match by giving Claudio a matching purple hat, which Claudio teased putting on before punting off the stage. And that obviously upset Hager because he really likes that hat. Later in the match, Claudio put Hager in the swing, and then he went for the springboard corkscrew uppercut, but he is stopped by Sammy Guevara at the ropes, literally like grabbed him on the ropes, which I thought was kind of a cool spot. Mox come over and took Sammy out, but then Claudio went to go attack Hager, and Hager was able to get in an ankle lock. Wheeler came in to try to break it up, but he himself got caught by Garcia in the Dragon Tamer. And while both Hager and Garcia had the holds in, they began showing off, which allowed Claudio to escape his hold. He sent Hager into Garcia. Claudio then hit an uppercut and pinned Hager for the win. James was very upset by that, but we'll get there. In the post-match, Tony Schiavone went into the ring and announced that he had a video to show the BCC of an interview he did with Regal after Full Gear. Regal said that he decided to help MJF win the title to finally give MJF what he always wanted, but that he should be careful what he wishes for because now everybody is coming for him. He also said that the BCC no longer needed him, but they wouldn't really let him go. So he decided to teach them the last lesson he could, that they always need to stay one step ahead of everybody and to keep eyes in their back of their heads. He then finishes by saying he will always be back with Combat Club for life. Moxley then grabs a mic and he said that no matter what name you call them, they live and breathe professional wrestling. Wheeler and Claudio, are going to handle their business on Saturday, and the war with the JAS will end. And then Mox called out any wrestler in the world to fight him on Rampage, and it ended up being Takeshita, so we're getting that rematch, which I'm pretty hyped about.
Yeah.
But James, I'll go to you first because I know you were very upset with this ending, where it was pretty much just a meeting of the minds, as Excalibur would call it, and Claudio uppercut for the win.
I was disappointed. One, I was disappointed that the match happened because now I just know how Saturday's going to go. I already knew Jericho was going to retain, but now it's just any hope I have left for Claudio to win is gone. The rule of opposite momentum dictates if you win tonight, lose at the pay-per-view. So welcome to the JAS, Claudio, and I hate that.
So ye of little faith.
I'm broken, man. I'm used to the guys I love just losing all the time now.
Says the John Cena fan.
He had a bad year.
The one bad year after he lost to The Rock.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And that was the
year
basis
where
of the
he
whole
beat
match.
Brock Lesnar in Brock Lesnar's return match after like 8 years.
I'd say having to wrestle Brock Lesnar is enough to make it a bad year for any human being.
Well, no, Brock was pretty good then.
No, what I mean is I wouldn't want to get in the ring with Brock. It's scary.
Yeah, you would.
I don't even want to say hi to Brock. That's how scared I am of him.
I've been scared of this guy since he made me cry as an 11-year-old. But anyway, the match.
11 when he beat John Cena. With
I was 11 when he beat The Rock. I was 11 when he beat The Rock at SummerSlam.
Let's not.
You did cry when he suplexed John Cena 14 times and won.
No, that's when like whatever innocence I had left was just killed.
It was such a good match, though.
Shut the fuck. Nope. I'm sorry.
It was a good match.
That was a gut reaction. We need to move on. And the point.
Maybe one of Cena's best matches.
Okay.
He really looked good in that match.
And
Go ahead, Jim.
Is the left arm the arm? Is the heart
Yeah.
attack arm?
Yeah,
The left arm is the heart attack arm. Okay. Just have your phone ready. But
dial 9-1 and then wait for me to tell you to dial the last one.
I don't even.
That was
remember
funnier than I expected it to be.
What segment are we talking about? Because I'm just throwing
the Regal BCC.
Okay. I
match
forgot
against the
just how
Bears.
bad Hager has become. He's so clumsy now. It's scary. Like, he ate shit on that Hurricanrana from the top rope. He dropped Claudio weird like twice. It was just rough. But
Yeah, he went for like a slam and he just kind of dropped him. Like, it looked awful.
I was really worried for Claudio. But match aside,
You should still be worried, match aside.
all right, I will say one spot that I was just weirded out by. The double submission spot is usually a babyface spot, where it's the two baby faces putting the bad guys in a submission, and they either help each other out of it or they both get the ropes. You never really see the heels do it because it automatically gets the crowd hyped because it feels like a big moment is happening. It was a weird spot, but it was interesting that they did it.
Well, and then it ended up costing them the match.
Yeah,
so.
with an uppercut. Just a regular strike. I've been uppercutted. I would have kicked out of that. I don't think I kick out of a lot of things in wrestling. I would have kicked out of an uppercut.
It was weird. Like, they were trying to sell it as, I think Hager hit Garcia's head and then hit the guy with the uppercut, and that's what cost him. But, like, it's still not enough to pin. I know it's Jake Hager, but that's still not enough to pin Jake Hager.
I'd buy it if Garcia was Samoan, but he's not.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't work. But all that aside, I know there were some people who thought that the Regal promo was a weird thing to do. I liked it as a nice way of signing Regal out of AEW. This is, by all accounts, probably going to be the last time we see him on TV.
MJF signed him out last week, literally.
No, he decked him out.
He clocked him out of his shift immediately.
Yeah. MJF Uncle filled him out.
But we've all agreed that the MJF Regal BCC stuff feels really clunky and felt very rushed. And we know it's because Regal is leaving and he's going to somewhere up north. But
Stanford.
I'm glad that they did it to at least explain certain things, to at least, whether or not I thought it was good or not is different. I like that there was an effort to just tie a bow on it. And I think they did succeed in that regard. I'm going to miss Regal. I think this segment would have been better if Brian was there, but I think Brian is dealing with some issues, but good segment, whatever match. I really don't want the BCC to end.
Yeah, me neither. And I know you're worried about Claudio, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. But I like the idea that Moxley was finally back with them. You know, we hadn't really seen them interact too much outside of, you know, the end of Full Gear, which I'm not even entirely sure was on TV. You know, I think it ended up coming out online. I know we put it out and we got fucking copyright striked, but
thanks, Fight TV.
That reminds me, James, you need to go to copyright school. YouTube was telling me before, and you're the one taking the class because it was your video. So congratulations, you're going to school. But yeah, like we don't really see Mox with them too often. We've seen Brian with them, and obviously Wheeler and Claudio have been together a lot. But since he's had the title, Mox's affiliation with BCC has been, hey, Regal's with me. So Mox being, you know, ringside with them tonight, cutting this promo, I very much liked it, and I'm really hoping they do something to keep this together, you know, and whether or not they have to like win Claudio's contract back or whatever the fuck it is, it's like I don't.
No, that means the feud continues. No,
fair.
I am done.
Very fair.
If he joins the JAS, he could die with them. I'm done.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I want the feud to fucking end, but I don't want the BCC to end either, even if it's just a loose affiliation of guys who train together and occasionally come to each other's aid. Like, that's all I really want out of this, and they can all go and do their own things. But Chad, I don't know where it's going. Obviously, as James mentioned, Regal is gone, but if this is the end of the BCC coming up on Saturday, I think it's kind of sucks.
I mean, that part kind of sucks. Like, this whole match and promo and segment. Sorry, guys. I know I'm probably the only one. Boo, Uno, skip card. All of this was trash to me. I didn't like not a bit of it. I think William Regal shouldn't have been on TV this week. I think Claudio should have lost, even though I think Hager is the absolute worst. And the match wasn't good. It was clunky and clumsy. Claudio didn't look good, even if he won. Hager never looks good anymore. The BCC doesn't look good anymore. I don't know. Skip to Danny. Maybe he has something positive to say.
Danny, do you have anything positive to say?
Nope.
Oh, shit.
Okay, moving on.
I'll say the Regal stuff was cute, but it didn't make any sense in context, because then so was Shivani sitting on this? Like, I don't know.
Well, they did establish that Regal basically told Shivani, only show this to everybody if something happens to me, i.e. Max double crosses me. So like
they should have killed him off like Impact. It was fine last week. Leave it.
This was very much like you know, to water it down for dumb people. This is very much like Tony Stark having a pre-recorded message in case he died, you know, before he died, because he knew he was gonna die. You know, it was, I don't know. I like the attempt. I don't know if I like the outcome. Yeah. Also, this whole segment doesn't warrant how long James talked about it. No offense, James. So let's move on to whatever the hell is next.
I liked what they did with Regal. I thought it was fine, but I at least give you credit for giving them credit for the attempt, because I think that's something AEW tends to do fairly well for the most part, is at least try to explain things when they happen. You know,
I thought you meant they were always seeking my validation. But,
okay. but they do like attempt to explain things when they happen, because it's just way worse to leave things hanging in the air. I mean, back when, you know, they had the exploding barbed wire death match and there was a fucking dud, at least they tried to have Mox and Eddie explain what happened. And it kind of worked. I mean, Eddie saying he had like PTSD and passing out was whatever. Them saying Impact bought the bomb was a perfect explanation and everybody was fine with it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, at least there was an attempt. And I appreciate them at least trying to kayfabe explain what the fuck's going on instead of just being like, oh, Regal's in a hospital and he's not coming back. Because that just would have been hanging out there forever. And those of us who are online know where he went, but those of us who, aren't, they probably would have been fairly confused. So I like this attempt to explain it. Regal's obviously gone on to, other places, and that's that.
Lame.
He's 80 years old. He got bludgeoned. He's definitely dead. How is he alive? And
I'm not dead yet. Feeling better. All right. After that promo, we had a House of Black promo package, which was actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. I didn't write too many notes on it because I was still trying to write down everything else, but I enjoyed it. They were saying how they were going to, go after all the corruption in the company, and like the verdict was death.
So they're going after the Elite.
They did take them out previously, and they took out like everybody they've been involved with. So I like it. It's cool. And I'm happy to see them back. I'm very thrilled to see them back. After that, we had a sit-down interview with Jamie Hayter, and where she declares that she's going to be a fighting champion and that she'll give the winner of Sheeta and the Bunny on Rampage a shot at the title, which that match is also for a title, which is interesting. One of Sheeta's titles. But yeah, so more title shots. And then we had Jade Cargill and the Baddies, which is Red Velvet and Layla Gray, for Sky Blue, Madison Rayne, and the recently fired from the Baddies, Kiera Hogan. Most of this match was just Sky Blue getting her ass kicked. She's just taking all the heat until the hot tags to Kiera Hogan and Jade. Kiera was able to get some offense in until Jade gained control. Jade went for Jaded, but Hogan countered and tagged in Madison Rayne, who got in like 2 shots before Jade hit a back elbow and hit her with a Jaded and got the win. And that was the match. Anybody got anything on it? No? Good. Moving on. After that, we had a backstage interview with Saraya, and she immediately wondered aloud where Britt was, and then Britt immediately showed up. Britt offers Saraya tickets to Dynamite at the Fabulous Forum, saying she could either sit in the front row or step into the ring again. Saraya was like, I'd love to beat you again, Britt, but Britt says it'll be a tag match with her and Jamie Hayter, and that Saraya needs to find a partner. And then Britt leaves. Saraya asked Shivani if he wanted to be her partner, and then Britt came back and dragged him away. And Saraya was like, all right, I'll find somebody else.
I love their friendship so much. I love their dynamic.
No, I love that. It was a really good touch. And that was the show. After that, we had the main event. So, like I said earlier, I liked the show. I think it kind of dipped in the middle of it, but the opening segment was really strong. Obviously, the final match is really strong. Danny, any last thoughts?
Yeah, so I think Scarlet and Violet are like really, really good games, but they are not complete games. They're very glitchy and very buggy. My game has just shut off and had an error and closed itself 6 times, and it's been like 16 days. Am I doing that math? Yeah, it's been like 16 days since the game came out, and I think that's kind of, unacceptable, but like content wise is one of the best Pokemon games ever made. So it's like it's a weird dynamic, and I have very mixed feelings about it. I think the people who are hypercritical are, a lot of their criticism is valid, and I think the people who enjoy the game, a lot of their praise is valid, but I don't think that one completely outweighs the other, and that you got to meet somewhere in the middle and realize that the game can be really good despite having a lot of flaws. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a huge hot take.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too. That the content itself isn't necessarily bad, and then obviously that's subjective. But the fact that the game will barely play is just horrific. Like they sent out not even like an unfinished game, just a complete glitch fest of a game. So, which is ridiculous. And honestly, Game Freak does need to get it together. Chad, do you have any final thoughts on the show or the new Pokemon?
I like the show. I like Pokemon. I don't know. Danny kind of threw me for a loop. I'm good.
And James, do you have anything?
For the show, I think it's very interesting how great a show this was, and we were without a lot of the usual stars. No Bryan Danielson, no Chris Jericho, no Elite, no Death Triangle. I think it speaks to how strong this roster is. No Hangman either, who is back. So
We're used to no Elite.
Wait, you said we were missing a lot of big stars, and then you named Bryan Danielson, and like that was it.
he's a big star. He's just a loser. But,
Yeah. So what big stars is one big star?
Yeah, Jericho did have his promo package, but
He's disagreeing with your other names.
he wasn't on this show.
Fair.
So
And
he wasn't physically on the show.
Yeah. But as for just, out of wrestling stuff, I think it's crazy that they just canceled Wonder Woman 3. And
it was in the pipeline, let alone
of
canceled.
course it was. They just announced it. No Wonder Woman 3 from Patty Jenkins. Gal Gadot is probably going to stick with the character. But yeah, no Wonder Woman 3 from that team, which is probably for the best after Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, that movie was meh.
It was
meh.
But
however, Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
Oh God, my scarab is tingling.
This is actually relevant because it is Warner Brothers Discovery. So
yeah,
this is what we like to call synergy.
So good. Oh my God.
But
well, speaking of synergy, we do have Winter is Coming next week, I believe, right? So we are going to get MJF versus Ricky Starks in that title match. Looks like Jamie Hayter is going to have a title match. We have some. We don't. We have another title match. Am I tripping? I don't know. There's gonna be Starks. There's gonna be some good matches next week. I know that. So I don't know. Excalibur talks too fast. But yeah, no, I'm excited for next week. And like I said earlier, I think
final battle this Saturday too.
Yeah, and we have final battle this Saturday. So hopefully, as I've been saying throughout the show, that kind of alleviates some more of the Ring of Honor from Dynamite itself. But I think, like I said earlier, in this post full gear reset, we've now had, I think, 3 good Dynamites. I enjoyed last week. I know we, obviously didn't have a show last week to talk about it, but I enjoyed last week.
Why didn't we have a show last week?
I was sick, and you two guys were not around, and Chad just couldn't, didn't want to do it by himself, and I can't blame him. I tried to do a radio show once by myself, and thank God my co-host showed up halfway through because I don't know how the fuck Mike Francesa does it.
I did do this by myself, and it was one of the hardest nights I've ever had.
You did a Dynamite one, or because I know you did the Impact one?
I did Dynamite by myself, and
I
was so stressed out.
It is not easy talking, like just bouncing off yourself for 8 hours.
I did a pay-per-view by myself, and that is nothing compared to what I would have done to Dynamite. We would have been canceled.
Yeah, so that's why we weren't on there. But like I said, the last 2 Dynamites have been good, and I'm excited to see where the show is going again, honestly. I know the ratings have been down a bit, but, now that they've kind of figured out where they want to go with everything again, I think we're going to be okay. And honestly, James, I'm kind of glad the Elite and Death Triangle weren't on the show because I think that the series
needed a break.
I think it was very smart of them to give it a bit of room to breathe. That's another match though that is coming back next week. So
yeah,
I am very intrigued by the series itself. I know a lot of people aren't, and I know certain people have been saying that the ratings are going down when that match comes on. But so far, I've been very intrigued by it. I've been intrigued by the storyline of Matt Jackson needing that game for his legacy, and B, the whole thing with Death Triangle continuing to cheat and Ray Phoenix being caught in the middle of all of it. So, but we'll see what happens with that next week. We'll see if Death Triangle take a 3-1 lead, and then we'll see if they blow it Warriors style. And we'll see what happens with the title matches next week. And you can hear us talk all about it here next week on the Market Down podcast. And in order to do that, you should like this video and subscribe. James will rap. It's gonna happen. I don't know when, I don't know where, but Danny, this is your department. You got to make this happen at some point.
All right, James, stick around. We're gonna practice the rap after this.
All right, it is going to happen. But like I said, be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all of our social media stuff. It's in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's actually there. I finally got the link from Danny. So check all that stuff out as well. And we will have our episode coming out within the next day or so. So you can hear us talk about some stuff that isn't AEW Dynamite. So, and then get that, like I said, like, subscribe, and check out some of our other videos as well. So for Dana Hernandez, Chad Big Bad Johnson, and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching. We will catch you here next time on the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everyone. And I guess try to enjoy the new Pokemon. I know it's a glitchy mess, but